So a good partnership provides checks and balances for one another, and that requires communication. That I'm giving you feedback, you're giving me feedback. We're going to try this Tapestry of Faith curriculum. I'm hearing from teachers that they're having some challenges around this. A committee member might say that to a religious educator. A religious educator might go back to the committee and say, we'd like to do spirit play, but we're finding that our teachers are having some struggles. And so we check and balance one another around the work, and we figure out, find that sweet spot where we can be successful together. And the multiple perspectives, our decisions, if we are engaging with one another and inviting different perspectives, then once we make a decision to go forward with something, we all feel really good about it. I mean, there may be a dissenting voice here and there, but we know that because we have had lots of opportunities to talk something through or to get different folks' perspectives, that the decision was the best one that we could make, given the information that we had. Good partnership can help to distribute the workload, and this is, again, understanding our roles and responsibilities. It invites trust. If I know that you're my partner and we develop this little dance, and I know that if we make a decision and I say to you, in the words of Captain Picard, make it so, I trust that work will get done. And I also trust in the process, and I trust that will help our program to be more successful. So these are just some attributes of a good partnership, and I'm sure there are more that you can think of. So generally speaking, when we're talking about an RE committee, or almost any committee, they're advisory. So the staff has some particular accountability and a particular authority. But the staff, the committee is advisory to that staff. They're helping with decision making. They also are task-oriented as well. So there may be times when they're providing specific program support. They may be involved in curriculum decisions. They may be involved in events. They may be involved in social justice, faith in action type opportunities. So generally speaking, this is the portfolio of the committee. The staff member, generally speaking, has been hired because they have a certain expertise, and they are a congregational leader, professional leader, and they have an accountability. They're accountable to their job description. They're accountable to the mission. They're accountable to whatever goal they may have stated. And so we sort of look to them as experts, and we value their opinion, and we value their guidance, and we value the direction that they seem to be pointing the program. On the other hand, the congregation is the ultimate stakeholder. Ultimately, the congregation is the authority. And so there's this polarity. And this is something that's inherent in our kind of in our theology as well. So are those things always, always the same? No. There will be times when you as an expert or as a leader want to make a decision, make one decision, but yet the will of the congregation says something else. So it doesn't go away. Again, this is part of the soup of congregational life. Authority is a formal, legitimate right of someone to make a decision on behalf of the congregation. And, ultimately there are several different opinions on this. John Carver, if you're in policy governance, will say that ultimately the only real authority is vested in the board. Dan Hotchkiss, who wrote Governance and Ministry, who's a UU minister who is on staff with Albin, would echo that, but with some qualification. So for our conversation, we're going to assume that the board has authority because they have been, that has been formally delegated. They've been elected on behalf of the stakeholders, which is the congregation. And so they make decisions around money. They make decisions sometimes around hiring and firing. They make decisions around policy. They make decisions around buying property, those kinds of things. Responsibility is when we're given a job. When we have a responsibility to be the chair of the RE committee or the chair of another committee, or we have a responsibility to be the administrator. And with that comes a clear document that says, well, these are the tasks associated with that responsibility. So accountability really has to do with reporting and outcome management. And this particular definition does come from another Albin author whose work is really all around staffing issues in congregation. And accountability only, in her definition, is only appropriate when there's a reward or there's a way to correct behavior. So accountability, in her definition, only applies to staff. So if we've delegated some of our responsibility to the RE committee and they don't follow through, ultimately we as staff are the ones who are accountable. And that feels a little unfair, but just in terms of organizational development and organizational definition, sort of the best practice or the best definition that we work with in church work, that is sort of the current thinking. So leaders we are delegating some authority, and sometimes it's formal and sometimes it's informal. And we all know informal leaders. There are plenty of them in our congregations. If your congregation is less than 60 years old, you may still have some founding members. They have no formal authority, but boy, do they have informal authority. There may be somebody who, the person who originally designed the sanctuary, where anytime you make a change or put up a tapestry or something, this person needs to be consulted because they've been granted some formal authority. So authority is not always clear. We have written authority and we have sort of informal authority, and that can cause conflict in your committee. Who has the authority to make this decision? If you're in conflict around what curriculum you're going to use, who has authority to make those kinds of decisions? Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but the staff would look at their job description. Does it say that I'm going to choose curriculum? Does it say that I will, in consultation with the RE committee, choose the curriculum? You have to negotiate that and figure that out. Who's got authority? And authority usually only really matters in a moment of conflict. If we're just all going about and happily doing our job, we're okay. We're fine. We have a good relationship, and we all are really focused on the goal. But if it comes down to I'm right, you're wrong, then we want to invoke authority.